kind of concluded my feedback from the third artifact, where I did one just showing their faces and one just using their voices. So that was the test of the third artifact, and then this is my conclusions. So people said by showing their faces that they think that the people are saying the things they're saying because they think they've known someone who's had a dream learning experience. They thought that they were blaming someone else.
They thought they were also blaming someone else?
Yeah, they were blaming someone else for what they're saying. They also thought it was more believable because you could see the people saying it. However, some people they didn't believe very believable. They didn't put off the emotion very well. And people thought with the first advert showing faces, they thought it was more curious as you were trying to work out why they were saying the things they were saying. Because obviously the statistics were at the end, and I did a test where I put the statistics at the beginning, and people just said it was more visual and powerful, showing their faces. And using just their voices, people felt the text made people, it was more about themselves, their own experience. That was a bit different, I never expected to get that from just using text.
So that people said that when you didn't have the voices, they attached themselves to the issue more than before when they said it's about them. They kind of felt like it was more about them.
About
Okay.
their own experiences. They thought it was more informative and the text made it more memorable, they remembered it more. People thought they were blaming themselves, as you said, instead of the other way around. As far as getting the message across with the text, it was clear in the advert, and they felt that the statistics shocked them more because it was written, they could see it, but they didn't remember it as much, I think it was said. So the test of the last one was to see if isolating the voice of the woman can establish whether it gives more credibility. This is the result I got from the first advert using the faces. It was clearer, more informative and memorable, but using text, it was more powerful, believable, and it was more visual. So I got a bit of a mixed message. Someone just said at the end, the first advert is more personal, they're saying how they feel. The second advert, you can see the information better than hearing, and they took it in better. So someone suggested maybe mixing it up, having one person you see and one person you hear, it could be more effective.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a suggestion for you.
Now, after the third one, seeing has the advert got more credibility, I just put using a mixture of voices, maybe that could give it more credibility and mixing it together, which is what I did for one of my fourth tests. I did mix it together. And then is it more informative using people's faces? Apparently it was more informative than using their voices. So,
Alone, using voices alone, yeah.
Just using their voices alone. The challenge for the last one was just to see, can we now clarify people now know what the advert is about? And people could, by using people's faces, they understood it more. It was about women blaming someone else for their actions. And then I took out the comments about the men and they understood it more, because that confused people when they were saying things about men. And then choosing certain people who actually did put off the emotions they thought was better. There was no remarks made that they didn't believe anyone, whereas before there was. They said they didn't believe certain people, but this time they believed everybody.
And why was that this time? Because
I just think the people who were more serious when they said the words, I mean, you could see in their face they meant it, whereas some people smiled when they said furious or something, eating didn't work.
well, that might make suggestions that perhaps choosing the people, if you choose people who have actually had some kind of emotional attachment to it by giving a real example, that might even be more powerful.
Yeah.
Because they'll be serious and mean it, and serious and not just acting but serious. So that might be a good, sort of one of the things that perhaps you've established that you really should, what that is really worthwhile doing is to reflect back real scenarios to people, and that makes it a little bit more believable and real for them.
Yeah.
Would that make sense?
Definitely.
Okay.
And to just put here, does it hit you more? I asked them if it hit them more by changing it around. And then we already saw this before, that's what we got from the first one using their faces, and the second one using just their voices.
Gosh, they're hard though, aren't they? Because they're all what you want.
So I thought a mixture maybe. And then what I wanted to hope to establish after the third one, these are the results. Both adverts convey different messages and feelings. Then I just said again, hopefully by doing the fourth advert and mixing them together, maybe I can get the same message. And I just said that I learned that using visual and voices are both effective in different ways. I've learned that not one is more effective than the other. But I hope to establish one was, but
No, they're not. They're different.
they're different. So that's what led me on to.
I like this, and this is why I like this, because for a while you've gone in and what you've probably tried to do a lot, and you've stopped doing now, is deciding what the answer is. And the more that you do these experiments, and then you get shocked by things you didn't expect, is the more you're actually kind of engaging with a process that you can't predict what's happening. But you feel much more comfortable with that now.
Yeah. So these are the tests I did for Artefact 4. I did a test on sound, one where I used a slow-paced music, which is the original one that you heard, and one I used a faster pace, and then at the end of it I had a car crash noise with a heartbeat. And people said that the first one was more sad and emotional, but the second one was too distracted, it was a bit too hard. So I don't know whether
Too hard.
something in the middle.
Too hard for.
Too hard, like they just basically said it was quite a harsh sound, and it was quite hard hitting, but it was almost too hard hitting, it was too distractive. It was very hard to find a piece of music that didn't overwhelm people what they were saying. And you could still hear the people, but I don't know whether I need to find a piece of music in between those two to see the effectiveness. And I've just got some remarks of what people said at the bottom. Someone said that the first music helped them filter out the background sounds, but the second one they were struggling to listen to the words. And then the other one, they remember them both for different reasons. The first was emotional, and the second one makes you concentrate more, so maybe it makes you think about it more. So they're both, again, you can't pick which one. They're both good in different ways.
Yep.
The next test I did was using one for just texts, one for faces, and then I did it together.
Yeah.
I'll show you that one in a minute. And everyone agreed that a mixture was more effective. The third test I did was font. I did 4 different tests of different fonts. So I had different fonts in different colours, and people just said it was too messy and it would be easier to have one font to read. And someone liked how I had different sizes for different emotions. I felt like it has a better impact on certain words. The next test I did the same font with different colours, and I thought that worked better. It wasn't so hectic. The third one I did one colour and different fonts, and people said that having the same colour made it hard to distinguish the different emotions. So it wasn't really, they didn't really think it was effective. And then the other one, the last one was the same font but one colour. Most people just said you need to stick to the same font and different colours. So I distinguished what was most effective for them to read it.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone suggested to me maybe I should have a blurred image behind my text, because they said in a lot of adverts you see a blurred image behind the text, and it helps people link an image to what they're saying, makes them remember it more. So I was thinking maybe I could play around with that, maybe having a certain image. But I asked them, do you think I need to have a graphic image? And they said no, I don't think it necessarily has to be graphic, because it's shown to such a variety of an audience. They said just maybe an image, it can help you sometimes, it can help you link and remember it more. So I might play with that. And someone suggested maybe not to have a voiceover at the end, because I've got someone saying throughout the whole thing, they think it's, where it says drink drive affects everyone, they think it's powerful enough without anyone saying something. So I might play with that. My fourth test was the statistics. I just put it at the beginning and at the end to see which one was more effective, because obviously if you put it at the end it makes people more curious, but if you put it at the beginning they know what it's about.
Right.
But I couldn't really, there's not really a better one, because I played with both and people said different things. They said it was more understandable at the beginning.
I mean, one thing you might think about though is there's obviously what you're getting is to a certain extent is that they both have their own power. There's, you know, you can't say one more than another because the combination is probably more powerful in itself. But in your evaluation or thinking about that in your conclusions, do you think there's anything that the way you ask the questions, do you think that's affected anything? I mean, reviewing the way you asked, do you think that might have influenced something? And muddied the waters at all? I'm not saying I think it has, I'm just asking if you've considered that aspect of your experiment.
Maybe, but then I think with this one, I did a recording, so it was quite an open conversation. It wasn't so question, answer. It was quite open, so I'm not too sure.
Well, just think about it, because, I mean, if you go back and you review what you read and what you talked about, just think a little bit about, lots of things can affect the way people answer a question. And it can be because the last subject that was discussed, or it can be what's on the screen. I mean, there might be a number of ways. It might be that that's not relevant. It's just that I wouldn't necessarily... you're coming up with what I would expect. I mean, I would expect that you can't prioritise an image over a sound because they have different effects, and they have different effects in different contexts, and not one you can say is better than the other in that instance, which is kind of where you're getting. which is good. But just bear in mind that, you know, there might be comment to make about the nature of that process that you did as well.
I don't think I'm going to be able to pick what's better than the other. I think I've got to pick a bunch of things that people agree on and make something all together. I don't think there's ever going to be...
No, and I mean, the thing, what you've discovered is you try to look to see if the different elements will have a bigger or lesser impact on the idea of helping people to take seriously the issue of drink driving. And what you're discovering is that not one particular element is responsible for more likely that to happen, but that certain types of those, in delivered in certain ways, possibly will be stronger. So you, like, for example, if you see it or you hear it, then it might be that you've worked out that you should say it and hear it. And it's not good enough just to use one of those elements at the time, etc. So there's quite a lot there. What I'm pleased about this time is that you've taken an idea and you haven't just done one question with one experiment. You've taken a variety of different possibilities, and actually that's given you quite a lot of information for you to work with. So that's healthy, that's good.
Yeah, I've just got 3 more bits.
Uh-huh.
Someone asked me, I found it quite interesting, they said to me, why did I use a guy to say the statistics and not a woman, because I'm doing it about women? And I've just put, well, I wanted to flip it. I wanted to see if this might be for my next artifact. Maybe if I get a woman to say the statistics, does it hit men more? And maybe using the other gender, does it hit the other gender more? I don't know. I think I might have a look at that because it was interesting that someone said that to me.
Yeah, I don't even see why it's relevant, really. But.
Yeah, I don't know why they asked us. I'm sure. I thought I would try and organise some interviews. I rang up Nottingham Police and asked to speak to the press office, and I wanted to see if I could get an interview with an officer who specialises in drink driving, just to give myself a better understanding, and hopefully I'll have that next week.
I mean, that's good that you're doing that. Ideally, you'd have done that where you can see where that belonged. That belonged to beginning of term, last term. But I don't have a problem if you're going to do it. Not at all.
Because I was thinking maybe that should be one of the first things I did, but I suppose that's what you learn.
It is. And I think I agree with you. I mean, again, I think it's for everyone. It's like, there's lots of different ways and ranges and methods of doing research, and one of the ones that a lot of people miss early on is sitting down and having a conversation and getting primary information from experts is a really shortcut to finding the key information that's relevant. And they're kind of experts, so they know what they know where to store. I mean, the amount of sources he could have pointed you to, I would suggest would have also been a really healthy sort of conversation at the end. But good, okay.
And I contacted Stephen from the Alumni Association, because I thought it'd be good to talk to him, because when we did last term, I did an advert for cancer. I just thought it'd be good to get someone, he's a professional opinion, if he's the sort of person who does things to make people aware, which is what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I get these interviews, that it might give me an idea to go on to my next one. And
Last one.
My last one. And also maybe looking at what I said about if you've got a woman to say the statistics.
Okay.
I'm not really sure yet, just seeing.
Have you started to write your story then? Do you remember we were talking about in the end your presentation and your kind of the results of it? Really, what Simon's looking for he expresses a lot is he needs some kind of story narrative which takes us through the whole project. I suggest you start thinking that, because now you've got, all the links. Before you conclude your final one, I would like you to reread your own report and reread and understand all the artefacts before making your decision. Because now that 5th artefact, what you've been doing now is going on from one to the other, and now your 5th artefact really is the chance for you to conclude and to look back and to try, I suppose in some way, make an artefact that helps you to close and to finalise your question with the answers that you've come up with. And so in order to make that last artefact work for you, I suggest you reread what you wrote, which you probably haven't written or reread since you wrote it in December, so that you start to look at you from an objective view. You start to see the story that you've gone through. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, Charlotte.
I'll just show you the one where I used a combination.
Great. Now, I would say my response to that is that it's more believable than when you just see their faces, because obviously it is about the reaction. When they smile, they're not believable. When you can't see them smile, they're not believable. But even so, I thought, in a way, I kind of thought it was more powerful than the one before when he did it with just the faces. And I'm not sure how much of that is because they grin and smile. Thanks very much, Charlotte. I mean, that looks like you've done a lot of comprehensive thinking and work there. Well done.